Hi, I'd like to talk about the Karina Vetrano case. This is a case pertaining to a jogger in Howard Beach, Queens. That's in New York. Unfortunately, Karina is no longer with us. That's because on August 2nd, 2016, Karina was sexually assaulted and murdered in Spring Creek Park, which is walking distance from her neighborhood, Howard Beach. The alleged perpetrator of the attack is Chanel Lewis. He was sentenced this year, 2019, on April 23rd, and received life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, I want to make it clear. I am not saying whether I think Chanel is innocent or guilty. Regardless of whether or not he's the perpetrator, I find it odd that TYT, Young Turks, a very popular online news network on YouTube, hasn't done much coverage on the story. I mean, this story has been huge for 3 years. The amount of publicity it received was astounding. I say this because Karina wasn't a famous actress, her latest album wasn't about to go triple platinum, she wasn't heiress to a wealthy hotel dynasty, she was none of those things. Not to say that a victim's story is less important because of their status in life, just that a victim is more likely to get more attention when they are wealthy or famous. But back to my point. I searched for TYT Howard Beach, TYT Chanel Lewis, TYT Karina Vetrano, nothing. How is it that a channel that prides itself on being, and I quote, the largest online news show in the world, hasn't covered this case in the span of 3 years? You might be thinking that this is some sort of attack. On the contrary, it is so not. I have been a huge fan of TYT for quite some time. On a lighter note, I loved when Cenk, one of the main faces of TYT, did a series called Loser Donald, where every day leading up to the election he revealed a very embarrassing story about the supposed President of the United States. Some of the stories were regarding his numerous financial failings. Some were more silly, like his list of stupid demands he made when he got roasted on Comedy Central. So this isn't politically motivated, guys. I just can't help but wonder what TYT had to lose by posting at least a video or two about the Vetrano homicide. Was it because TYT is a more liberal-leaning news show that focuses on topics like the injustices of minorities, how they get wrongfully prosecuted in America, and that since the alleged perpetrator in this case is black and the victim is white, it would upset their followers if they expressed the belief that Chanel was guilty? Was it that they tried to upload footage on the matter but YouTube had it censored? Or was it that they honestly felt there were other stories occurring in the world that required their attention? I mean, this is a channel that on more than one occasion covered how Melania, Trump's wife, refused to hold his hand in public. So you telling me they couldn't take 5 minutes to share their thoughts on this case? Kinda hard to believe, right? At the end of the day, TYT is not obligated to cover this story. They did nothing wrong by not covering it. There's a number of atrocities happening every day on this planet that require attention. And sadly, one news show, even the largest online news show, can't make time for all of them. To sum it up, I don't know if Chanel Lewis is innocent or guilty. I know the American justice system is extremely flawed and filled with biases. Factors such as wealth, race, gender, and even sexuality all have a say in how the courts treat you. But how can those flaws be exposed if the media doesn't shed some light? Some people would say to me, what do you mean? This case has gotten 3 years of press. And I would say to them, a lot of that press was controlled by the mainstream media, which is mostly controlled by only about half a dozen conglomerates in American mainstream media. It's basically like an oligarchy. Just a few people at the top deciding what story to spin you. So the people rely on web-based media to make well-informed decisions. Yet the question is, what happens when an online news show becomes too successful? Do they begin to prioritize profits over unbiased journalism? You tell me. I am more than willing to hear your side of things. Take it easy.